My reflections today are on the gift of presence. Some years ago, when Larry and I lived in Washington, D.C., we attended the River Road Unitarian Church in Bethesda, Maryland. One sermon stands out for me where the minister's message was, "Don't do something, stand there." The minister reminded us that we can't necessarily fix things. We can't always make things right, but we can be there for the other person. Our presence is a gift that can make a difference. I have carried Scott's message, Scott was the minister, with me. Rather than trying to talk to someone, telling them what to do, I have tried to hold back and let the other person express themselves. I don't always know how much my listening helps, but at least the other person knows that I am there for them, that they are important to me. The relationship is stronger. While the gift of presence is important for one-on-one interactions with others, I am realizing the gift of presence can go beyond being with single individuals. Our presence in large groups and small can make a difference, whether there is direct communication or not. We show our gift of presence in our volunteer work, when we call a sick friend, when we vote, when we mail our Christmas cards, when we come to church. These are gifts of our presence, gifts of ourselves. Oh no. Page 2 is left behind on the printer. Oh well. Technology problems. What's that? Oh, okay. Technology comes through. When I text my sister for no good reason, except that I am thinking of her, this is a gift of presence. I am present for her, even though I am far away. The gift of presence may not even be that personal. For years, I was an observer at the meetings of the Butte County Board of Supervisors for the League of Women Voters. I wore my League of Women Voters badge and my League of Women Voters ribbon. My job was to be there. I was not to speak. I was not to voice an opinion. I was to be a presence and to observe, and that was it. My presence, I realized, was in a small way a gift to my community by keeping tabs on how our elected officials were doing their job. But I also realized that it was a gift to me by experiencing and witnessing the meetings of the Board of Supervisors. I became a stronger citizen. Don't just do something, stand there, were the minister's words. Or in this case, don't just do something, sit there. But in any case, there is something of value in being there. Wherever we go, wherever we go, the places we choose to be, our presence is the gift of ourselves. I don't mean this in an egotistical way, but in a deeply spiritual way. What we do and where we place ourselves reveals what is important in our lives, and thus perhaps is sacred. With that thought of being in the sacred space, may we know that we as sentient beings Our present is not only a privilege, it is a gift to be treasured. And now our reading. This is prepared by Steve Garnanes Holmes, December 11th, 2024. The prophet cries, "Prepare the way," and we know he means justice and purified hearts. Well, and shopping and decorating and baking and cards and programs and family plans. Either path is okay for a bit, but whichever you are on, stop. It is okay to let it all go. Prepare for something to happen inside you that can't happen with too much stuff going on. Clear the space. Stop pruning in the vineyard and walk away. Dress warmly and go out into the dark. You may go alone or with others who can hold candles in a cold wind without masking the dark silence with familiar songs. Sit at the empty manger and let its emptiness speak. Make room for newly conceived life, unknown longings. All of who you are is present, as is the holy approaching. This retreat may take a lot of time. Cookies may be neglected. Sit in the not yetness, the awful silence. Sit with the Holy Family, Joseph going off to find a safe place, and Mary regards the manger within.
This was apparently the morning for forgetting things, or the weekend for forgetting things, because I looked in my backpack this morning and I had no hard copy of what I was going to say. But I have my computer. The Soul Matters subject this month is presence, hence what we're doing this morning. The title of these words is The Gift of Presence. This time of year is difficult for many, me included, because of the shortening days and lack of sunlight. The medical diagnosis is seasonal affect disorder, known as SAD. We are expected to soldier on, keep doing. Why are we not cheerful? We ask ourselves, and others may ask us. But maybe this is not a pathology at all, but our body's way of saying we need to make space. We need to be present to ourselves. Steve Garnanes Holmes writes, prepare for something to happen inside you that can't happen with too much stuff going on. Clear the space, stop pruning in the vineyard and walk away. Sit at the empty manger and let its emptiness speak. Make room for newly conceived life, unknown longings. End quote. There are so many obligatory things to do if we have family and friends that it is difficult to find space for just being. Yet when you are struggling, you are struggling. Do you know someone who is down this season? Perhaps they are alone, as many are. This can lead to overwhelming emptiness and loneliness when all the messages are of bonhomie and good cheer. For those who have lost a loved one in the preceding year, the first time through the holiday season without their love is especially difficult. Succeeding holidays become easier, but may always remain tender. Steve continues, You may go alone or with others who can hold candles in a cold wind without masking the dark silence with familiar songs. What would it be like for you to spend time with someone struggling this season? What would it be like to simply be present with them? Perhaps you may listen to them without interruption. Perhaps you may sit together in silence. Both of these ways of being present are difficult in our culture. When I was a chaplain in training, the most difficult way for many of us to be with a patient was in silence, yet that was sometimes what was asked for. My mind would wander. I'd quickly go to a place of, I'm not doing anything. This is pointless. I would struggle to be present in the room, to not get up and leave after only a few minutes. Yet, we were told by our supervisors that this type of presence was often very meaningful to patients. Presence, being, not doing. In October, I attended a retreat for elders in the mountains of southeastern Arizona. The subject of the retreat was facing our age. It was a journey into presence. Group time in lecture and discussions, all outdoors, was interspersed with hours in the wild desert mountains, alone with the landscape and the plants and the birds. Jungian psychology speaks to the importance of holding the tension of opposites. This is familiar to students of Eastern religions with the concept of yin and yang, darkness and light. Among other things we did in the retreat, we explored this tension. One of the opposite pairs was that of being versus doing. We've already explored this morning this tension during the holidays and how being present to yourself or someone you know can be helpful. I'd like now to look at this tension between being and doing in elders. As we age, we lose our ability to do. If we are lucky, we can keep doing for a long, long time. Two authors whom I enjoy and respect, Barry Lopez and Ursula Le Guin, speak of the diminishment that takes place with aging. Both are now gone to the mystery. Le Guin in 2018 and Lopez in 2020. It's different within this congregation, but in our youth worshiping culture at large, elders are often not respected. To the extent that they are, it is a function of their overall health and how much they are still able to keep doing. Think about advertisements you have seen featuring older adults. For one who watches very little TV, what I remember is that the ads typically feature an elder doing something considered fun, usually thanks to the intervention of Big Pharma. For those of us willing to accept our aging, which many are not, there can be a shift toward being, to presence to ourselves and to those around us. We necessarily shift more toward being as we lose the ability to do, but we are exhorted to do, always do in our culture, even in our denomination. In our denomination, retired ministers are routinely asked to come out of retirement to serve as interim ministers, i.e., keep doing, but are only rarely consulted for the wisdom they may have accrued in their years of ministry. And thus, being honored as a wise elder by you with your conferral of emeritus is especially meaningful to me. The drumbeat of doing, of action, has been especially pronounced in liberal circles since the election, including and perhaps especially in our denomination. said to those at the dinner last night that I was in listening to what's going on for my colleagues who are still in parish ministry. I was so glad, especially since the election, I was so glad that I no longer am. There is certainly the need for doing, yet as in all things, balance is needed, both for personal health and for the health of our interconnected web, from family to friends, from city to state to nation, from Bidwell Park to Redwood Forests to Mother Earth. In your journey to explore presence, to explore being, cookies may be neglected, but spend time with an elder this season. Simply be with them in whatever way seems most comfortable, but without the distraction of doing, fixing things around their apartment, tidying their kitchen, or any of the other things that need doing. Not that you should refrain from these things, just don't make them your first priority when you arrive. Practice the discipline of being of presence with someone struggling. Listen attentively without interruption. If you are in silence, hold out through the initial discomfort, through the urge to get up and start doing something considered useful, something distracting. Try for 5 minutes. That's what we were told in chaplain training. Can you be present with somebody in silence for 5 minutes? That doesn't seem like a long time, but in practice, it feels like eternity. And with practice, it becomes easier. And you can extend your time of presence. And they will likely appreciate it more than you will ever know. Practice the discipline of presence with yourself. Clear the space. Stop pruning in the vineyard and walk away. Sit at the empty manger and let its emptiness speak. Make room for newly conceived life, unknown longings. So may it be this holiday season. Amen and blessed be.